Sunday Wrap Up, everybody, live from Junction Bar and Grill, 160 West Gray in the shadow of downtown Houston, where you can get your own ass shots. And they have damn good bar food, the hottest wait staff in the city, and the TRILLest sports talk on the web every Sunday and Thursday night. Thank you guys for dropping in and giving us a listen. And speaking of listening to Sports Rap Live, our program is brought to you by Urban Ears premium headphones, which you can see the Rapp Pack rocking each and every show. But if you want to get your own pair, you can do so by going down to your local Best Buy or Urban Outfitters, or online at urbanears.com, and you can link up to 5 pairs of Urban Ears together with their innovative design and award-winning sound. Shout Out Sundays begin tonight with a big one at Diamond Supply Co. and diamondsupplyco.com. They just dropped the Spring 2 right there on Fairfax, 451 North Fairfax in West Hollywood, California, and online at diamondsupplyco.com, where you can find piece after piece, release after release. So I'm going to send a big shout out to all the natives out there, and of course Yusef, Young Corey, Sean Lyles, Nikki, Dennis, Tori Pudwell, who's over in China right now, representing Grizzly.
Making sure the kids are of age.
And the Grizzly gang. Yeah, absolutely. His skateboard.
Maybe if he makes his way to North Korea, he'll see Dennis Rodman.
That's right. And his new best friend.
I know.
That's pretty cool, though.
Kim Jong-un.
Did you see Saturday Night Live?
I did see the Saturday Night Live.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll tell you what, we're going to run the rock until 10 o'clock tonight. We're going to have more takes just like that. I'm really excited because our show now, it's unfiltered. It's raw, it's unfiltered, and I think that's what brings the best out of all of us when we get together. And shout out to Kadoma. Really don't even know if he made it back from Vegas. He might be laid up somewhere.
He's probably out there filming Hangover 3.
That's what I thought.
I forgot where we left.
And you know who he is? He's probably that guy, that dude that in the first one that just got left up on the top of the hotel the whole time.
His beard's probably a little burly now. Andrew Martinez, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him on Twitter at Antinez. Thank you very much. A-N-D-T-I-N-E-Z. Antinez. Another guy you want to follow on Twitter is Soccer Talk Luis, and he is here. He's getting his grub on right now because he is coming on at 8:45. Or actually, it's going to be 9 o'clock now. We're pushed back a little bit. We're going to come on in just a little bit to talk about the Dynamo home opener and how they got away with a victory, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about what this means starting off at home, opening the season at BBVA Compass Bank Stadium, and his thoughts on the season ahead. But as of right now, we're going to go to break, so make sure you guys keep it locked right here, and as Oak Cliff loves to say, no matter where he is.
Wait a minute. Sports Rap Live will be right back.
But right now,
What up?
speaking of good pops, how about good wins to open up the season? And I'm talking about the Dreamsicles themselves, the Houston Dynamo, as they opened up the season last night against DC United. And of course, Soccer Talker Luis is here to tell us all about it. He was out there covering it for the Rapp Pack. So Luis, we've already told the good people out there listening that they had a victory. They won. But tell us a little bit about the experience, about the game, about the home opener, the crowd, and the whole atmosphere.
Oh man, it was great. It was kind of chilly last night. There was like 48 degrees, the coldest ever last night to host a BBVA Compass. But I've been at colder weather games. But what a great turnout. The game wasn't sold out, but what a great victory for the Houston Dynamo to win 2-0. It was a great first half, energetic until the 40th minute, man. Brad Davis got the opportunity to take the lead 1-0, but was blocked by Bill Hammond, DC United goal keeper, who was a U.S. national teamer. I don't know why he's a player for the U.S. men's team, because this guy is badass. 4 minutes later, right before the half, Ryan Giles had Barn, I can't remember his name. Some of you got it picked up. 2-yard line was going for a straight shooter, rejected by Hammond again. So into the second half, boring. Everybody wasn't feeling it, the cold weather. Everybody was out of it until the 80th minute when DC United's own James Riley beat Rico Clark off of Brad Davis corner kick. 89th minute, Rico Clark does a badass kick, a line drive shooter into the net, which is like in a 10-degree angle, and just knocked it off for the score. And the game ends 2-0. So the next game is Tuesday against Santos Laguna. I don't know what's going on with me today, man. But let me talk about the national anthem first. Let me get started. You ever heard of the Tauntauns? Or the local group, the Tauntauns? Well, they had the lead singer, Asli Omar. Kind of bombed it like I'm bombing it right now. She was real nervous. You could tell she had the jitters, but she has a beautiful voice, but she wasn't feeling it. And also, my boy Ruben was racial profiled. He got searched from head to toe for some reason. He was like the only one around, and they searched him. Like, what's going on?
In the stadium?
No, walking into the stadium. So I don't know if they're having like heavy security nowadays or what's going on.
With all of his Dynamo gear on?
All his Dynamo gear on.
And they searched him?
They searched him.
They didn't search you?
They didn't search me.
Damn.
Yeah.
They must have thought you were his kid.
Well, anyways, this victory was huge. This extends the Dynamo's game to 26 games unbeaten as overall and 31 in all competition plays. They're 4 wins away from breaking the record, and they have a tough test on Tuesday against Santos Laguna, who's a tough team. They're in a 3-game winning streak right now, but on the road they're only 1-1-3.
You know what? Stay scheming.
That's right.
Only the best from our feet.
Exactly. All right, guys, let's get into the NBA rap sheet right
Rockets,
here
33 wins.
on Sports Rap Live. Yes, that means that the Ghost of Kedoma officially wins a free car wash for the Tundra. So if he ever shows up here again, we'll make sure to let him know he has a free car wash on the way. But yes, we are watching the post game here. The Rockets, as they crush the Dallas Mavericks to stay in the number 8 spot. And you know what? The Lakers really aren't doing much to jump up and claim that spot. But the Rockets are, you know, a young team. They're the youngest team in the NBA. And I don't really think that they're ready for the big time stage, for the bright lights. But I think any experience you can get in the playoffs right now with this team is a good thing, especially because you really have a roster that you're gonna build for the next 2 or 3 years.
I definitely agree. I think at some point I might have said, you know, what interest do they have in making the 8th seed if the 8th seed is going to be a sacrificial lamb and you're not going to get really a lottery pick? But we have to face the reality of that 14th pick or 16th pick, whatever it ends up being, if you do make the lottery of what they would have probably gotten, you're not going to get a good player at that point anyway. You're going to get, hopefully you get someone that can be in your rotation. That's what you really just hope for. Someone that can be in our rotation and contribute. Most likely you're not going to get an all-star. That's, you know, your clear talented guys or those guys that are going to go in the early part of the first round, top 5, top 4 picks or anything like that. Morey's good at drafting, so it also, you know, it doesn't hurt as much because he's really a very good evaluator of at least college level talent and high school age kids, or those young kids, to where you can find those guys like Chandler Parsons in the 2nd round and get those guys. So
Here's my newest take. James Harden, he's kind of gotten used to being in the playoffs. You know, in his young career, he's been there with Oklahoma City. He's been to the conference semis. He's been to the conference finals, and then the finals last year. So I think you want to kind of continue that and have that consistency in place.
He was in the playoffs too.
He was, yeah, but he was a role player. He was more of a bench player. But I think for Harden, you want to keep that going. You want to keep that kind of momentum going for him. And that's going to rub off on some of the guys, some of the young guys who haven't been in the playoffs yet.
Have we seen Robinson yet, Thomas Robinson?
Yeah, he's been playing.
How's he been looking?
Tonight, actually, him and Francisco Garcia, they kind of combined their stats as contributors, and I think they had 19 points and 4 assists and like 7 rebounds. Last that I saw. So, I mean, together, them coming in and actually starting to get playing time on this team. You know, Francisco Garcia, he's the old guy on this team. He's 31 years old.
I remember whenever he played at Louisville, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was one of Patino's first classes.
Yeah.
Yep. When he took that job there, and he was a shooter. He's a lot
that
like.
That team made it to the Final Four.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah. And he was, you know, he's been in the NBA now for 10 years,
right.
and he was a guy coming out of college that was one of the first Spanish players to really, you know, be a high draft pick.
He's a serviceable shooter.
He is,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, and that's, hey, they got younger, yes, but they got a shooter out of the deal as well, and they really interchangeable parts. Plugged in Thomas Robinson for Marcus Morris and Patrick Patterson. So, as far as the Rockets goes, I think any experience you can get this year is a good thing.
Sure, I definitely agree, and I think that it's interesting to see how this coaching staff embraces it too, because Mikhail, it's been a little while since he's done anything relevant or meaningful in the playoffs. Did he ever has he actually coached a team to the playoffs? I don't think he has yet.
No.
So this will be new for him
He's
too.
He's still fighting to get to 500 in his his coaching career.
But this will be new for him too.
Yeah, for sure. And
those losses, I want to see how he takes those losses. He might cry for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although we saw him cry a little bit when he hugged KG earlier in the season when he came back, and to much fanfare and
KG probably said a cuss word to him in his ear.
I told him he smells like Fruit Loops. You never know. All right, let's keep it in the West then, Andrew. I think we pretty much know the Rockets are going to end up with the 8th or the 7th seed maybe, because everybody pretty much 6, 7, 8 in the West right now is jumbled up. The Lakers, they're not going to have enough consistent play. They've been up, they've been down, they've been down, they've been up. I think they're back down on the downslope.
I still think it's going to come down to the last game of the season.
That would be amazing. That would be something for the Rockets to play for. So then, if the Rockets do win that game at the end of the season and kind of vault themselves into the playoffs,
if it comes down to the last game of the season, the Rockets aren't winning that game.
You also have to realize, who are the Rockets going to be playing if they do end up with the 8th seed? Because right now, San Antonio's got 1 month, Luis, without Tony Parker. How do you think that affects that team? Do you think that with Pop resting his starters so much that they'll kind of be accustomed to it? Or do you think this could hurt them and they can slide a little bit?
I don't know. They won today, 114-75 over Detroit.
Manu put on a show today.
Did he?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that game.
You gotta love Manu. Gotta love Manu.
Ginobili will step up if Tony Parker's hurt, and Tim Duncan will step up.
If there's one team that it doesn't matter if someone, quote, star gets hurt, it's that team. Because that team isn't a team, it's a system. That system that Pop has running, it doesn't matter if the best man or the worst man gets hurt, next man up, and that guy probably just as good is going to play just as good in that game as the guy that he just replaced.
And he does that even when the guys aren't injured. I mean, he does this on a regular basis.
Like if Pop had come out and said, you know what, I'm going to rest Tony Parker for a month, and people were like, why are you going to rest your star for a month? You'd be like, I don't understand that, but it's Pop, so I'm gonna go with it.
Well, Tony Parker's legitimately hurt.
Right.
I mean, that was nasty.
Well, his replacement, Corey Joseph, stepped up today. Had like 8 points.
Yeah, where did this guy come from?
From Texas. He's from Texas.
That means don't trust him in the playoffs.
No, I don't know, but as long as the other 2 big guys, Ginobili and Tim Duncan, lead the team, they'll be all right.
Oh, of course. I mean, those are the veterans.
They're still a lock for the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter where they seed. As long as they're in the top 2 in the standings, I'll be fine with that.
I think that an ideal scenario would be the Lakers getting the 8th seed and the Rockets getting the 7th seed, and having the Rockets play Oklahoma City, just so you can have that sort of drama of Harden versus his old teammates, and so you can have the Lakers in there for the drama of what is the Lakers against San Antonio, who will swiftly kick them out.
That's a great possibility, and that could happen. Because you have Utah, who's right there with the Rockets. They're all kind of jumbled up.
Golden State to me has slid a little bit. I don't understand what happened there. They're playing really well. They're a good rebounding team. They played really well.
They still don't have Bogut.
Right.
They still don't have.
But they've shown that they can step up to the challenge and play some of the elite teams well and beat them too.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, we'll continue with the NBA rap sheet in just a little bit. Listening to the Harlem Shake, I gotta ask you, what'd you think of the Miami Heat Harlem Shake?
All I gotta say is hashtag Horstronaut.
Yes, I think it's probably one of the best Harlem Shake videos out there.
That is the best one.
The Heat did it.
The way that Birdman starts it off with the wings flapping, and then
he has that Crooks bandana on.
Yes.
Come on, man.
That was dope.
And the LeBron, whatever it is,
with the
does
king
his face up there.
Yeah.
And then D Wade with the Kanye bear head on.
Yeah, that was Wade.
Oh, with the chains on.
And then the tricycle going around. I can't beat that.
All right, guys. Like we talked Western Conference NBA basketball earlier, so we brought up the Miami Heat. Miami Heat, obviously the cream of the crop, look like they can impose their will on anybody. The question is, do they finish out the rest of the season undefeated? They still
Hell no.
They still cannot match the Bulls of 1996.
No one is matching that 96 Bulls team record-wise.
No, but I think this Heat team can win out. How about that?
No.
How about that, Tito?
Without the rest, I don't. I think they're gonna take.
You know how many games they have left right now?
Like 3 or 2.
Oh,
I'm behind.
that would be easy. That would be easy. No, they have like I think they have 22 games.
Yeah,
left
that's what I
in the
said.
season.
20 or 30.
No, I mean
I don't see
they would basically set the all-time record for the win streak if they continue to win.
I'm looking at their schedule right now. I can already see games they're going to lose.
All right, let's spit it out.
Okay. Monday, March 18th, they play at Boston. The reason they'll lose.
They're not going to lose that Boston game. Are you kidding me?
Here's why. They play a Friday night game, then a Sunday game, and then that Monday game will basically 3 games in 4 days. You can see them losing that.
They've been playing back-to-backs quite a bit this month. They still got 14 wins in a row.
Just saying.
Okay.
Okay, let's see another one. They play at Chicago later on this season. They don't have any games. It's not a back-to-back or anything, but at Chicago has been a pretty good team this season, as we discussed. Yeah, they still play Chicago 2 more times. They play Boston twice. They play. Let's see who else. The Knicks 1 more time. They obviously beat today.
They have the Knicks number now. The Knicks team that beat them twice earlier in the season was not the same Knicks team that was on the court today. That Knicks team was a flash in the pan. Miami's for real. Now, the one thing that does concern me about Miami, they're 1-5 against the Knicks, Indiana, and Chicago this season. So, I mean, those are the teams that are going to challenge them in the end. I mean, who do you have in the bottom of the East right now? You have what Philadelphia? I mean,
that Doug Collins, that is a hot pile of garbage right now.
It is. But my point being that the Heat are not going to have any trouble like they did last year when the AC was actually pretty damn good in the East.
They play Milwaukee. That's who the 8th seed is right now with no real challenger to that. Philadelphia is 6 games behind them, and after that is Toronto. You know, obviously I don't think that's going to challenge them in the first round of the playoffs, but you never know about injuries. I mean, that could be a reason why.
I mean,
it's the NBA. People lose all the time. I understand that they're on a 15-game winning streak? 14-game winning streak. But how long do you think this thing goes? What was the Rockets one a couple seasons ago?
22 games. And then that was the second place all the time. Number 1 is ridiculous. I mean, it's the Lakers, and I think it's like
30 something?
Yeah, it's 30,
36 or something.
I think it's 33, 34 games. Yeah. So I'm not saying. I mean, they would break it if the Heat won out. They would break it, but I think they could challenge the 22 games. I think the way they're playing right now, they're unstoppable. The way that LeBron is playing in the 4th quarter, for once, we were talking about this before the show, Andrew. You still have issues with how his career ended in Cleveland.
Oh, I'm not saying that it'll happen again. I'm just saying that 4th quarter against Chicago in that Game 5, it's still there. It's still there. You can talk around. You can talk around it. You can try and put excuses to it, or say whatever you want to say about it. But the thing is, it's still there. It still happened.
Even Mike had a bad playoff series against Orlando the year that he didn't go to the finals.
He didn't just stop shooting.
Well, we talked. You know why LeBron stopped shooting is because his teammate was messing around with his mom.
Okay, that's just something we say. We don't actually know that actually is
no,
true.
That's been proven. That has absolutely been proven.
No one is proven.
I think that was pretty much.
That's like World Star Hip Hop crap.
That was before World Star Hip Hop.
No, that's that World Star Hip Hop crap.
How many of y'all watch World Star Hip Hop? Yeah. Shout out to Jade Hatred. I do. But basically, what it comes down to is the Heat. They're the cream of the crop. It's theirs to lose. As you said, injuries beside.
That's really the only thing that can slow them down.
Exactly. But even with injuries, I mean, it would have to be to one of their big 3. Look at Chandler, swagged out. Swag. Chandler did something tonight, real quick, before we go to break.
Shot 92% and scored 30 points. The first player to do that since '86 with Bird.
Pretty amazing. I'm going to tell you guys, if you come out to Junction, you hang out for the afternoon, you hang out for the evening, the man you need to know and the man you need to have his number in your phone is Gary Trichter, H-Town's top DWI lawyer. I'm going to tell you, if you're going to have a drink, Make sure you have a non-drinking designated driver or take a cab or a limo because both are going to cost you a lot less than having to call Gary Trichter. But if you do get stopped and you're going to have to answer questions to the cop, make sure you have Gary Trichter's number in your phone because a DWI can cost you anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000. Numerous time off from work, going to court. Your license is going to get suspended. Your insurance rate's going to go up. Just save yourself the time, the headache, and the hangover, and put this man's number in your phone. That is 713-524-1010.
Goes to Padoma. 10.
One more time. 713-524.
Goes to Padoma.
I almost went 212. Jeez. All right, let's continue with the Martinez Report. Talk college basketball as we're getting closer and closer to conference championships. But right now, everybody's kind of jockeying for position as we've seen number one time and time again this season get chipped off, Andrew.
I want to talk about something real quick before we get into the actual teams.
Yeah, let's do it.
And that is court storming. This has been a
Great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
This is something that's really been brought to a head with events this past week at Virginia where they court stormed after they beat Duke. That was actually Thursday night when we were here. But it's sort of, everyone's making a bigger deal about it because Coach K really was not pleased with the way the court storming, I guess, happened.
Not for the first time either.
Right. Obviously, I mean, they've been playing very up and down this season. What are your thoughts on the court storming? Because the issue right now is what people are saying is, I'll give you the two sides of it, is people are saying, like, obviously, hey, this is part of the game, it's good for the game, this is the biggest deal for some of these teams that don't ever have happen to their organization or their school. Why not? You're really not hurting anyone. The flip side of that coin is, what if someone does actually get hurt, and then what do you do with that? You know, what are the repercussions of that? I've actually seen people saying, oh, that player punched me, or that player hit me, when you can see that player clearly walking out, not doing anything. But, you know, something is going to probably happen one of these days where a fan is provoked by a fan provokes an athlete. That athlete swings back.
I take Coach K's position on this. At least get the visiting team off the court, right? Because you're not getting court stormed. Well, unless it's, you know, Miami.
What if it's about to beat her?
Yeah. I can understand that, but you know what? Get the visiting team, get the other team off the court first. You need to have some type of security wall. You need to have some type of exit plan.
But you can't really time a court storm if it's a buzzer beater, Adam, and you beat a team and it's like, oh man, you made the last second shot, and everyone storms the court. Hey, there's no time to get the other team off. My position is, let this go on. You have to let this go on. Even if a player, let's say a player got hurt over the weekend. Let's say it was one of the Kelly. Let's say it was Kelly. He got re-injured, okay, for Duke. I still would have no problem with it. You know why? You can't just because one person gets hurt doesn't mean that you have to go change the rules for everybody. We don't live in a perfect society. You know, that's why there are rules. People need to behave themselves, you know, properly. Or there's consequences. I think that you should have court stormings no matter what. I understand this year they're becoming more and more frequent
because the top teams are getting beat.
Right, but I didn't hear a problem with this last year when Kentucky was whooping everyone's butt and people were trying to court storm on other teams. My thing about court stormings is if you don't want them to happen, you know, I guess playing accordingly. In the SEC, there's actually a penalty for that. Yeah. You actually have to pay a fee for every time that this happens to, I guess, dissuade teams from doing that. And they're thinking about doing that in the ACC. I just think you can't take the fun out of it. This is part of college basketball. It's what college basketball is now. That's the only way I can say it. And if someone gets hurt, so be it.
Let me ask you this. Were you ever involved with the court storming at Rice?
Rice's basketball team is pathetic. We got Rice buddies we're talking over the weekend on what's the most pathetic banner you can have up in your arena, and we have one that's like, we made the NIT once. Okay, that's the Rice one, and we're like, that is just so terrible. We're looking at because we're looking at some.
You guys put up academic banners somewhere?
No, we don't have academic banners, or we like to have the biggest endowment or anything like that. But because we were looking at the Minute Maid, you don't have to have the Astros ones of like, oh, wild card champion or something like that. We came to the conclusion that the worst pennant I guess you can have up on your in your stadium is if you make the one game playoff in baseball and you lose it. You made the playoffs. How many games you play? One.
Colorado Rockies spent years putting those banners up.
Right.
All right.
So my position on that though is, let them go on. It's college kids. Listen, for some of these programs and some of these kids, this is the biggest thing that's ever going to happen to them.
I think you can have safety precautions and you can have kids storm the court. So I'd like to see, you know, hey, maybe have a wall basically by the by where the benches are.
What's funny about that Duke game is they actually did have a human like channel most of these guys in security in yellow blocking it off. But you know.
Kids will be kids.
Whatever.
All right, well, let's get into some of the action over the weekend, Andrew. Speaking of Duke,
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly was back. What a huge performance. My favorite part of that entire game was Coach K after the game describing the performance, saying it was one for the ages. Because he loves that type of story. He loves, the underdog. He loves that player that plays for him. You mentioned Shire a minute ago. Those type of players that come back and have a storybook ending to their career there, too.
It was a very interesting game. Did anyone think that Miami was going to go in there and win? No. You don't go into camp.
I thought they had a shot. I thought they had a shot.
Of course they had a shot. The game was 76-79, and it was a very, very close game. To me, this really just says more about the Miami team than it does about the Duke team, because we now know that Duke, when they have Ryan Kelly, they're probably among the elite for this season at least.
Does he not look like Dirk? That dude,
Skinnier, lankier.
He plays like Dirk, I guess.
Yeah, he plays an inside-out game. Yeah, I'll give you that. But for Miami to go in there and only lose by 3, Shane Larkin, I'm not sure if he's in the running for National Player. I'm not sure if he's in the running for National Player of the Year, but there are a few point guards that are better than him, at least offensively. That kid's a damn good basketball player. I did watch the interview story piece about him and his father, about how he said he never wanted to play baseball again after he was like 7. And so after that, he started playing basketball. Good choice.
Yeah, great choice. You think he's an NBA player?
No.
But he'll get drafted.
He'll have the chance to prove it. He'll have the chance to prove it.
Sure.
But I think just his size for a point guard, he's a little small. Obviously, that's never stopped some people, but we'll see where he ends up. I don't know that he has the. When you compare it to like a Marcus Smart, though, that kid looks like an NBA player.
Yeah,
he is built to be an NBA player.
Yeah, he does. He wears number 1 too.
Yeah. Some of the other games over the weekend, Louisville beat Syracuse. I really never thought that Louisville game was.
You put Louisville in your Final Four Thursday night, by the way. So when I saw that victory, I was like, okay, all right. So they're back on track.
When they turn it on, they're very, very, very tough to beat. Syracuse has just been, for lack of a better word, dog crap offensively this season. They really are spotty when it comes to actually getting their offense going. It seems like they can't figure out a zone. The only kid on that team that really impresses me is Michael Carter-Williams. CJ Fair is there sometimes. Trish is there sometimes. You really can never get them all playing as a cohesive unit. 53 points they scored, I think 19 in the first half. That's pathetic.
Yeah, it is.
That's pathetic for a Syracuse team at home. So, I'm really not looking for big things from Syracuse in the post-season run-up. So, some of the other games.
Michigan State.
Yeah, that was today. That was an incredible performance by Trey Burt, who, when that kid has it going, few are better than him as far as point guards in the nation. Terrible way to lose that game. You were Keith Appling to basically just get your pocket picks. You stole the ball right from him, and at the end of the game, Burt makes another defensive play. If Michigan can play some defense, they can win it all. They're that good offensively that if the defense comes around a little bit, they're going to win a lot of games left for the rest of the season. Outside of that, we can talk about Arkansas dusting Kentucky if you want to.
Kentucky's done.
Oh, they're totally done.
They're
totally done. There's no
How
more.
about that, huh? Going from national champs to being out of the tournament. Goodbye.
In Arkansas, that's a really good team at home. Granted, the tournament's not played
I
at
don't
home.
even think Kentucky can win the NIT.
I wouldn't pick them.
I know.
Vegas might say that because of who they are, but I wouldn't pick them.
No, hell no.
Arkansas, though, talking about them, I'm not sure that they're going to make the tournament, but that's a pretty good.
Well, Kentucky losing basically opened the door for Alabama to get in.
And they pretty much messed the bed themselves this week when they lost to. When Alabama this week, I'm trying to pull up their schedule right now.
Well, they
they lost to LSU. What was it earlier last weekend? That's a bad loss.
Well,
and they had a chance this weekend against Florida to really make a statement. Alabama did. I didn't expect them to win that game. They didn't. But it'll be interesting to see they make the tournament. Last year, this sort of happened to them when they had a chance in the run-up. So we'll see.
All right, now the new number one team in the country, Gonzaga. They took care of their business this week. They won both their games. Blew out Portland. And earlier in the week, who they beat? Not St. Mary's. Somebody else from their division.
This past week they played Portland. BYU.
Yeah.
And they're done. They're done for the season now, as far as for the regular season.
Number one.
Yeah,
Number one.
They'll have their conference tournament soon, and then that'll be it for them.
And they'll blow through that. They'll absolutely blow through
they'll
that.
blow through that. They should win every one of
They
those.
could go into the final, into the tournament as the number one seed. That's amazing.
To me, they
Shout out to Mark
probably will
Few.
be a number one seed because, granted, if they lose any one game, it's not going to probably knock them off that seed line. But I don't think that they're going to be the number one overall seed if they win out.
That's okay.
I would still give
But to go into the tournament as the number one seed in the country,
Oh yeah,
that's
that'd be
awesome.
great. That would be great. I still think that like the way that they're running right now, Duke to me still has that resume where I understand they're 25-4 and they have the 4 losses, but the committee will look at that and say you played those games without Ryan Kelly. Kelly's back. We saw what they did this past weekend. So they have one more big game against North Carolina if they win that game on the road. Which what a fitting way to end the season at North Carolina.
And Duke was undefeated with Ryan Kelly, by the way. They were 13-0
but also look
and
at
then
the wins
9-4.
they have this season. They start the season Kentucky, Minnesota, VCU. VCU, who, by the way, dusted Butler this
Ooh,
weekend.
I saw that.
Dusted them.
I saw
That
that.
was a fast team. That VCU team looked like they were back in the Final Four.
Saw
That was a good game for them.
Are they going to make the tournament?
Oh yeah.
awesome.
They're a lot. So that'll be a team that everyone I'm sure is going to be picking in their bracket to go a long way. They play that frenetic style, and I'm telling you, that team on Saturday looked like they were ready for the tournament.
Shaka.
Yeah, they looked like they were ready.
Shaka.
They also have wins though. Duke has over Louisville, Ohio State, Temple. I mean, they played an incredible non-conference slate. So the fact that the ACC is down is not going to affect them, and the fact that they split one at least with Miami is going to help them. So I would not be surprised to see Duke maybe enter the tournament overall number one, because they'll still have to play Miami probably again if they win the ACC tournament.
All right. Well, I can't wait. We're right around the corner from conference championships, and then we'll be into the tournament before we know it. St. Patty's Day, March 17th. We'll be right here for Selection Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. Man, St. Patty's going to be turned up for the intern's birthday as well. So you guys make sure you come by Junction Bar and Grill and get some green beer and get some sports talk right here on Sports Rap Live. Yeah, some green. If you know what I mean.
That's how we celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Let's do it. Let's take one more break. We'll come back.
It's hard.
Yeah, and we'll show them how we celebrate every Sunday night right here on Sports Rap Live.
All right.
Wait a minute. Sports Rap Live will be right back.
Amazing. Shout out to the Rockets for their big win tonight, and shout out to the Rapp Pack. It is Shout Out Sunday time, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get our shout outs in right now. Jay, you got any shout outs this week? Let's get it started with Jay Nature, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for the greatest man behind the camera in sports talk.
Yo, just once again, we got to shout out to the whole Rapp Pack, to the whole family that's been putting it down. You know what? No matter what, we do not need 790 at all, period. We're on a grind. We're still going to shine and keep doing what we do. We're still here at Junction. And hey, I'm going to shout out Stephanie because she stuck around to watch the show for a little bit. So shout out Stephanie.
Very nice. Very
hanging
nice.
out. She's like, oh, hey, you guys on the radio? Yeah.
That's what we do. Sunday night, shout out Sundays. All right, Andrew, what are your shout outs this week?
I'm not sure if you guys saw the news today, but there was a report that they have the first documented cure for HIV. They cured a baby girl today. It's the first ever.
Wow. Wow.
Did they just
Shout
inject
out.
a bunch of Magic Johnson's money into her?
No, that wasn't good South Park. No, actually, they thought that the mom was infected with HIV, and so the baby, they usually don't see that, but the baby was infected, but they were, I guess, able to, with the right medication, reverse the signs of it. So they say that right now that it's so rare, like these circumstances in which they're able to reverse it, that probably not, you can't repeat it or anything like that, but it's still progress, so shout out to that.
Shout out to Ashley.
Oh, and it was
hanging
an
out
old-
at Junction all afternoon.
It was at Ole Miss. That's where they actually did this research.
Awesome.
Shout out to Ole Miss.
Awesome. Mississippi's good for something then, I guess.
Yeah, something, I guess.
All right. All right, Tito, shout out Sundays. Let's go.
Shout out to Rapp Pack, Craig's crew, everybody in the building, Junction, the usual suspects.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your night last night.
Two clubs.
Two clubs.
Did the Capones because they switched us up Friday to Saturday for this 1 week. So I started off Capones, then went to Red Velvet, did my set, then drove all the way back to Capones and finished out the night. So
Who was that Capone?
and shout out to Ralph G.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming
Heard
through.
y'all got it turned.
Super turned up. And oh, see, that's what I said. Scandalous was out there with Brown and
He ain't here tonight though.
Brown
so-
and Los. They were super turned up. I mean, like
Oh, God.
the knob had broken off. That's how turned up they were.
Woo! man.
Yeah. Ooh. They were flagging, gangbanging.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That was on one.
All right, well, as always, my shout out goes to Junction Bar and Grill and the beautiful staff here that always takes care of us every Thursday and Sunday night. Coming up on 3 years this July. We will be celebrating our 3-year anniversary this summer. Looking forward to it as we bring you the TRILLest Sports Talk on air. But my shout out tonight goes out to the warrior herself. Out here tonight, representing for her birthday. Make sure you tell her happy birthday and buy that girl a shot. Hey, ain't nothing wrong but some stitches. As she said, you know what? Jen Scott. Very proud of you Friday night. Very, very happy to be in your corner. You know what? Illegal elbows aside, you did your damn thing. And I'm very proud of you. And I want you to keep doing your thing. And make sure you check her out this summer as she plays for the Houston Lady Oilers. Right over there at Reliance Center. We'll be out there covering all the games as they kick off the season against Australia and the women's champions from Australia. I'm looking forward to that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be turned up. You already know. But that's all I got. Shout out to the interns, Kenneth, Kelsey, Kelso. Y'all got shout outs? I'm going to give y'all, you know what? I'm going to give y'all the opportunity to get on the microphone and give us a shout out. Come on. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. It is Shout Out Sundays. Let's let the interns have a shout out tonight. Did you put on some Coldplay, or is that out there? Turn that up. Turn that AC up. I was like, wow, Coldplay, Tito? Really? Go ahead.
Shout out to, Junction Bar and Grill for the best bar food, A-Sound. And the whole Rapp Pack, just being trill.
All right, keeping it trill. Shout out to intern Kelso. What you got?
I'm going to give my shout out to the Rapp Pack. I also want to give my shout out to my shake. That was pretty dope. I also.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Sports Rapp Live.
Wait. I also want to shout out Jen Scott. Happy birthday. Congratulations with everything. And yeah.
You need to do a rap song for Jen to walk up to.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep it all rap.
Little intro song. I'll start working on that for you.
All right, there it is. Hey, kids, we'll be back Thursday night. Hopefully Kadoma will be joining us. Yeah, hopefully. If you know Kadoma, tweet him and tell him we want you back here on Sports Rapp Live. #MIA. And until then, you guys keep it trill. We'll see you Thursday night. Rapp Pack, what do we like to say?
That's a wrap.
One more time. That sounded good.
That's a wrap.
Peace. We out of here. That's a wrap.